Hello.
Hello again.
As some of you may have seen our video update, kind of insights from the market or our take on what we might be going into post-lockdown. And we're interested in what we had to say, so we thought we'd do a sequel this week.
Episode 2.
Yeah, and maybe just have a quick chat with you about what we're kind of experiencing on the front line.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, there is no real market at the moment, but we're doing our best to kind of get a feeling of like what it will be like once we come out and are able to operate again.
Yeah, so it's very hard to have a discussion based on any type of evidence or data. So today we're going to bring you anecdotal evidence from the conversations that we're having with the people that were in the market pre-lockdown.
Yeah. And it's important to understand, obviously, our market, if you're outside of Wellington, it's a little bit different. We have some natural insulation because of the government, and it makes a large portion of our economy. So for us, the conversations that we're having are with people within inside this market as well. So it could be completely different if you're outside of Wellington, different areas around New Zealand.
Yeah, and obviously if people are in jobs, because it is a government workforce, then people have a little bit more confidence looking into the future and certainty about their financial position, whereas other markets will have a lot of kind of redundancy.
That was definitely noticeable making those calls.
Yeah, okay, cool. So just so a little bit of background about us, we have a team of 6, and every day we're working on a daily basis and splitting our time into kind of training and calling, and we're doing, we've done a bit of a readjustment to the way that we're engaging with people, and we're talking to 2 different types of people, and they are vendors or potential vendors, people that we have given a market appraisal to, people who have indicated to us that they would like to sell over the next 12-month period, and then buyers. So we, over the past 3 months since the market kicked off in mid-January, we have sold 30 properties, and it was a pretty good market prior to the lockdown with a huge shortage of listings. Obviously we've got low interest rates, even lower now, and large buyer pools turning up to the majority of listings. And so of those 30 listings, obviously only one party can buy from each property, and so we have 20, 30, 40, 50, in some cases 100 buyers that were interested in purchasing property. So our job now is to contact those buyers and understand, what are your motives, like what's changed, have conversations with them about, are you likely to be in the market post-lockdown? So we're going to split our conversation today into those 2 categories and talk to you about how they might tie in together.
Yeah, I think, because a lot of the conversations that we're having, and so people say, what do you think is going to happen in the market afterwards? And again, part of that's slightly unknown, but by doing this, we can actually go back and say, well, look, this is what we understand is, potentially going to happen based on the conversations that we've had from people who have been around and involved in the market space as well. So as Amanda said, we're splitting it into 2. We'll talk a little bit about the buyer side of it, and then I'll talk a little bit about the vendor side of it as well. Yeah. So do you want to start with the buyers?
Sure. Now, I want to put it out there, our motives for talking to buyers, obviously because they are our clients, but what we want to understand for our vendors is who is still around and what is the buyer pool likely to be, so we can provide confidence for them coming to the market out of the lockdown. And so when we're talking to those buyers, we want to understand, firstly, has your situation changed? Are you still in a position where you would like to be offering on property post-lockdown? Are you still in a financial position? Do you still have confidence in the market? And has your time frame for purchasing properties changed? So for some people, they're going to be somewhat nervous, and they're going to be wanting to hear some good news stories from the market before they decide that they want to purchase, because obviously everyone is concerned, like something like the share market, they've just seen losses in that area. So are they going to be buying at a peak and then losing money in the kind of short to medium term? So that would be of concern to people. Or are these buyers just really concerned about securing their first property, their larger family home? What are their motives for purchasing property? Have those changed? So that's really what we're looking to understand. So on the whole, those conversations have been really positive. This week we have had a few people saying, I'm unsure about my job security post-lockdown. That wasn't the conversations we were having last week, but overwhelmingly the majority of people that we are talking to, and it may be different for investor pools, which is not something that we have a lot of stock in. On the whole, our buyer pools are relatively stable and still very motivated to be purchasing property.
Yeah, well, I mean, most people, if you're a buyer, you've invested time and energy into something, so you want to see an outcome for that effort. And so the average time for someone to buy can be between 3 and 6 months, and so they've already spent that time. So when we're doing those callbacks, that's why they're still interested in trying to get a result, because of that time that they've put into the market.
Yeah, and then for our vendors, those buyers are really great to be able to draw on, because their market knowledge is, as Ben said, based on pre-lockdown prices. Once that buyer pool has been exhausted, they've lost their job, so they're not going to offer, and or they go on to purchase property, that buyer pool is gone, and then we're moving into a new pool of buyers, and those are buyers that have entered the market post-lockdown, and they will build a whole new market knowledge based on the prices of properties transacting post that lockdown.
Yeah, and their motivations will be slightly different as well. You'll tend to find
opportunistic buyers.
Yeah, and sure, like in the medium, and most markets are built on confidence as well. And and some people like bad news, and so they'll take advantage of that bad news to try and get a better deal for them as well. So exactly what Amanda said, we've got a pool of buyers that have been out there and active already. There's a new group that will come into the market at some point, and we just don't know how they will be operating, and that's something that we'll find out as we go through the year.
Yeah, and then we've obviously got our vendors. Now, at any one time, the numbers-ish of people that are looking to transact or have indicated they are looking to transact within that next year that have been appraised by us probably sit in about the 100 people mark. So this week we went back through and contacted every single person who's had a proposal by us, and to see, again, what are their motivators. Has their position changed? Do they still need to sell? Would they still like to sell? And what's driving them? What is driving that sale for them? Is it because they themselves need to upsize, downside, release capital?
Yeah, most people that transact in property as well, there's a genuine reason behind it. So those genuine reasons probably haven't changed. Maybe for some people they might, the expression kick the can down the road for a little bit and just wait till things can settle down before they make that decision, but the reason for that decision hasn't changed, so that's still there, and at some point they're going to have to move no matter what's going on.
And so kind of thinking back on the buyer conversations that we're having, what we're doing is categorizing our buyers into family home buyers, investor buyers, first home buyers, downsizer buyers. So those pools are sitting there, and maybe for a nervous vendor that doesn't want to be the first to test the market, we can go then and look at our buyer pools and kind of present properties to our motivated buyers off market and say, is this a property that you might be interested in? And deals can be done that way very effectively when you have motivated buyers and sellers as well. So some of the things that vendors want to know post lockdown, as well as what is the market. Now, again, anyone's best guess there, but there's a few considerations for people that are looking to come to the market that we want to kind of propose, as opposed to say, yes, it would be best to do so, because nobody knows that. And those are, consider making use of the buyer pools that were available pre-market that have been qualified by us and or other agents. I'm sure there's many other agents doing similar.
It's just, more importantly, they want to know if they're going to go to the market, if they went and they launched, is it going to be crickets? Is there actually anybody out there that's going to be looking at real estate? So the point of this as well is to be able to say, yes, there are people that are out there looking. We know those people because we've spoken to those people over this period. So with confidence, we can say definitely if we launched and went to the market, full campaign, we know that we've got people that we can get to turn up to the property. Because there's always still a big group of people outside that we haven't spoken to that could, that would be interested in, but we're not just relying on them. We've actually got some, solid people that can come through prior or during.
Yeah, and the other thing is, in the absence of other people waiting for those good news stories, your property could be launched in absence of competition, which means that those buyer pools could be competing more for your property, which is the best case scenario for any sale, is more than one party looking to offer on a property. The other things obviously that we need to consider are the three kind of main factors that are driving the market, which are confidence, employment and interest rates. And interest rates are almost as low as they could ever go. There's a slim chance they may go to zero, but right now lending at 3% is just incredibly good buying, so those kind of things have the potential to keep us stable in a market that was very kind of listing poor as well.
Yeah, and I think if you look at the evidence that's coming out of the banks, and they're very confident. I mean, the money's there to lend. So unlike last time when you had the GFC, that was a monetary issue. This isn't. So the banks do have that capital and they are keen to lend. So there should be some good support from that area of the market.
Yeah, so that's kind of our take on the market and what we're doing and what we're hearing and seeing in Wellington. We are not fortune tellers, so we don't know, but just anecdotal evidence there. Just a bit of on COVID-19, I mean, it's obviously a fairly dire situation globally, but I think it's been a good opportunity in the absence of the daily grind or even having a business to kind of operate in, to do some really positive things, which have been for us in a business sense, like upskilling and talking to people that we've worked with over the past few years. We're having some wonderful conversations about what people are up to in their bubble and really just touching base on a human level. That's been really cool from a business sense.
Yeah, it was nice to jump off the treadmill.
Yeah, and then on a personal sense, like having time to spend with our family has just been amazing. I mean, we're in a really fast-paced industry, so breathing, spending time with our girls, that has been phenomenal. And I think a big reset on what is really important in life.
Yeah, I've done more dishes in the last 2 weeks than I have probably for the last 2 years. So
yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, there is a downside of having to clean your own home. The community aspect as well has been a really surprising upside for me personally. We do I've gone to the colouring competition at the moment because some of you have entered and we've got the winners to announce today. There's some oldies across the road which I've really enjoyed shopping for and really connecting with neighbours. There's so much care when we're out, in the community, people talking and smiling and just engaging.
At a minimum of 2 metres.
Yeah, definitely at 2 metres. And then, as a result of those great engagements we're having with the oldies across the road, we've kind of volunteered for Meals on Wheels, which has also been a great upside. And then just kind of the final community engagement scenario, our annual colouring competition we mentioned last week, normally distributed by our children, went up on community pages this year and it gave everyone something to do. But I wanted to thank everyone for the amazing messages that came back in with the entries. It was really cool, and I think everyone is very caring and very cautious and concerned for other people and the fact that they might be having a safe and
let them know the kids have had to sit through 30 minutes of this to find out.
Okay.
Just a reminder of what you're getting.
Okay, so
maybe 1 or 2 eggs lighter.
Standout entries. Thank you all, and thanks to the community. Really cool. So the winner of the kindy colouring competition was, and I'm sorry I say it wrong, Aurelia Mercury. Well done. Year 1 and 2, Hina Saigo. Amazing entries. Year 3 and 4, Lucy Brandis. And year 5 and 6, at a very late to the party post, was AJ Hoggs. Great embellishments, great take on our colouring competition. You all did amazingly well. We'll send out an email to you in case you missed this one. Please send through any property questions that you'd like us to address. We would love to do so.
Yeah, stay tuned till next week.
All right, have a great day.
See ya.